Hello children, welcome to our next class. In this class we are going to study about lithosphere. Okay. In our previous class we have studied about atmosphere, and I told you atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere. These three spheres combine together to form biosphere. The biosphere is the sphere which contains life. Okay. So in this video we are going to study about lithosphere. Okay. Now litho means what? Litho means rock. Litho is a Greek word which means rocks, and you know what is the meaning of sphere. So the sphere of rocks is known as lithosphere. Now let us study about the earth's interior. Earth is like an onion. You know how earth was formed, and in its initial temperature was very high, and it took several million years to cool down, and the surface of the earth slowly it turned solid. So you know that earth was formed from sun, and before it was in gaseous state. Later on slowly gradually started cooling down, and the upper most layer it became solid. But still now the interior of the earth it is in liquid form. Okay, we will study about the interior of the earth. See, we can divide earth into three parts. Interior part can be divided into three parts. The uppermost one is crust, then there is mantle, and then there is core. This core again can be divided into two parts, outer core and inner core. Okay, only the crust portion is in the solid part. Children, you have seen boiling of milk. Okay, so when milk is boiled in a container, what happens? You have seen your mother boiling milk in the container, and after some time when milk is boiled, the gas is turned on and the milk is left to get cooled. Then what happens? You can see the cream of the milk. It floats on the liquid milk. The cream of the milk flows on the top of the liquid milk. In the same way, when you fires this cream and the cream of the milk and put your finger inside, what do you see? You can feel the hot liquid milk inside. Likewise, the same thing happens with the earth. The uppermost layer of the earth, it has, like the layer of the milk, it has turned solid. But if we penetrate deep inside the earth, we will find that the earth is still in liquid form. Okay, inside the earth, as we penetrate deep inside the earth, what happens? The temperature increases, and so the rocks which were in solid form, due to high temperature they turns into liquid form. Okay, now what is earth crust? Earth crust is a thin layer of rocks with an average depth of 40 kilometers. Generally the crust can also be divided into two parts, upper crust and lower crust. In higher classes you will study this differences and this classification. Still in the lower class, in the initial classes, you just divide the earth's interior into three parts: crust, mantle and core. Okay, the crust, the average depth is 40 kilometers. We say that it is extends up to 100 kilometer. From 100 to 2900 kilometers there is mantle. Mantle is in liquid form. Okay, and from 2900 kilometers to 6378 kilometers there is, or some books it is written 6400 kilometers. We take 6400 kilometers for our easier calculation methods. Okay, so from 2900 kilometer to 6378 kilometers there is core. Okay, the core is comprised of heavier metals. The core is also known as Fe. You know what is Fe? Fe is nickel, Ni for nickel, and Fe. No, let me write it in this way. Ni is nickel, Fe is ferrum, means aluminium. The core is made up of heavier metals, nickel and ferrum. Ferrum means iron. Okay, so the core and what is the temperature of the core? The temperature of the core is between 4000 centigrade to 5000 centigrade. So you can imagine how much heat is there. Everything which is present there will be in the liquid form, is ought to be in the liquid form. But see here, I have written the inner core is in solid form. Why so? Because in the interior of the earth there is so much pressure that the metal which are present here, they don't get any space to change into liquid, so they remain in the solid form, because there is tremendous heat as well as there is tremendous pressure. So the inner core is found in the solid form. The outer core, it is found in the liquid form, but the inner core, it is found in the solid form. Okay. Now, what is the importance of lithosphere? This uppermost part, which we say the crust, this is of the most important to us, because this crust, we call it land or we call it soil. This is the layer of soil that contains the nutrients for plants. All the plants growth, our vegetation, all is possible only on the uppermost layer of the earth, that is the crust. Okay, so we live here, plants grow here, all type of we build buildings, all type of buildings and everything are built only on this layer. And this crust is the, we can list out the importance of the crust. Now, what is the first importance? What is the first importance of the crust? It is made up of soil, broken rock particles which made up soil, and plants grow here, so it is the base for growth of plants. Second importance, that we live in this layer, we build buildings and all, we live in this layer. Animals are also present on this layer. Third importance is that minerals, various sorts of minerals like aluminium and iron and all sorts of minerals, these are also found on the uppermost layer. Building materials like marble, sandstone, okay, granite, these are also available on the topmost layer of the earth, that is the crust. So these four are the importance of lithosphere. Next we come to hydrosphere. Okay, hydrosphere. Now, hydrosphere, what is hydrosphere? Hydrosphere is the sphere of water, and water bodies like oceans, seas, lakes and rivers and etc. Now, you know, in the earth 71% is what? 71% of the earth is water, isn't it? Now the question arises, where from this vast water comes to earth? Now there are two different theories. Some believe that when earth was formed, when earth was formed, millions of asteroids and comets which were rich in water, they slammed down into the planet, releasing their load of water into earth. When earth was formed, millions of asteroids and meteoroids which contained water, they collided with earth, and their water they transferred on earth, and the craters of the earth, they become filled with water, and therefore that gave rise to oceans. Okay. Now other scientists, they believe that some are of the opinion that when earth was formed, the newborn earth, it was when in gaseous state, and the earth started cooling down, and in that process of cooling, gases were released from Earth's interior. Okay, and if in about 100 million and for about 100 million for 100 million years, the gases they uh, they started cooling down, and that gases contained water vapor, and in the process of cooling, that water vapor came down to earth as rain. For hundreds and thousands of years there was rain, and all the depressions and craters of the earth, they get filled with water, and that gave rise to oceans. So there are different views regarding the formation of oceans on the earth. Okay, now because of this presence of vast water, what happened? Our earth is known as blue planet. You know, children, from when we view earth from the space, earth looks like a blue. It looks blue in color, so it is called blue planet. Life on earth cannot exist without water, and water is of utmost importance to earth. Water has so many uses. You cannot imagine life without water, isn't it? All sorts of life and all sorts of our domestic activities, industrial activities, even transportation. Water transportation is the cheapest way of transportation. Okay, all international trades, bulky goods, isn't it? They are carried away through waterways. So hydrosphere is of utmost importance to mankind. Now let us come to, see, I have already drawn a rough sketch of hydrological cycle to explain it to you. This is hydrological cycle. In easier words, this is known as water cycle. You all are familiar with this term. I will just help you to recall this. What is hydrological cycle? See, during daytime or due to the heat of the sun, the water from the sea, all the water bodies like rivers, underground water, lakes, or ponds, etc., everything, it gets evaporated, and after evaporation, what happens? Condensation take place. In the previous chapter we have studied that when we go up in the, as the height increases, the temperature decreases, isn't it? So water vapor, when it goes up, due to decrease in temperature, it starts changing into water, and this process of changing water vapor into water is known as condensation. And after condensation, what form? Condensation of water vapor, it forms clouds, and these clouds, they start floating on the atmosphere, on the air. Okay, and these clouds, when they become heavier, they can't stay in the air anymore. They come down to earth as rainfall or snowfall or hail, anything. This process of coming down of water in the form of water to the earth is known as precipitation. Okay, so see, evaporation, then condensation, then precipitation, and due to this rainfall or precipitation, what will happen? Again the rivers and lakes and sea will get water. Again this water will evaporate, again the condensation will take place, and again there will be precipitation. So you can see there is a continuous cycle of water going on. Okay, this continuous cycle of water which goes on in the nature is known as hydrological cycle or water cycle. Okay, so children, in this video what we have studied, we have seen the various aspects of lithosphere, how it is formed. We have studied the basic characteristics of the three parts of earth, that is crust, mantle and core, and we have studied hydrosphere, how oceans were built, what is the importance of water to us, and about the hydrological cycle. Okay, so let us sum up our class here. In the next video we will study about the drifting on of continents, how continents, before there was only one landmass, that was Pangea. Okay, and how the Pangea drifted apart. What were the forces for the drifting of Pangea? We will study in the next class. Till then, children, goodbye. Take care of your health. Stay home. Stay safe. Bye-bye.